Arc Raiders has a lot of very challenging PvE robot enemies called the Arc, and they can be absolutely terrifying to fight. To stand a chance, you'll need to learn each Arc's weak points, attack patterns, and best strategies. I'll also show the loot each Arc drops in this video too. Before you head out, pay attention to your weapons. Each weapon has a different Arc armor penetration value, so while something shiny like the Tempest might be a good PvP weapon, a good old Pharaoh is going to break through Arc armor much easier. So keep that in mind as I talk about breaking Arc armor in this video. Let's start with the Wasp. Whilst one of these smaller Arc, this guy is not any less threatening. The Wasp's attack pattern is pretty straightforward. It will roam the open skies, often alongside other Wasps and Hornets, scouting out for Arc Raiders. It reacts to sound and movement in its field of view, and if its blue search beam goes yellow, it will start searching more carefully, and once red, it will be in attack mode. From here, it will relentlessly charge forward and lay down a volley of light ammo attacks. It can easily shred through your health, so you'll need to react quickly to it. A couple shots in either of the blades will destroy the thrusters and destabilize it, but that won't stop it from attacking. Even without a wing, it will still try its best to attack you as it spirals through the air. So aim to take down 2 thrusters as quick as possible, and then it will fall out of the sky and explode on impact with the ground. It's a very weak Arc. You can take it down really quickly, but it will do you a lot of damage if you underestimate it. The Wasp will drop an Arc power cell, which can be used to recharge your shields, light ammo, Arc alloy, useful for crafting and quests, and a Wasp driver, useful for quests and upgrading the weapon bench. Next is the Hornet. This one will often fly alongside Wasps, but despite its size, it's not as threatening if you know how to deal with it. Once aggroed, it will fire slow, traveling electric darts. If it hits you, you'll be stunned temporarily and take a lot of damage. The strategy for the Hornet is to get as far away as possible and then start to predict the incoming shot by the sound it makes. It becomes very easy to tell by audio cues at what point the dart has been fired. Once that dart is fired, simply sprint left or right out of the dart's travel path, and you'll dodge it. You don't need to dive. Doing this will just eat into your stamina. You can also play in and out of cover to dodge the dart pretty effectively. The Hornet has 2 weak points, its 2 back thrusters. Shoot those 2 down and it will go down to the ground and be destroyed. The trouble is, it's always looking at you, or at least trying to. So how can you get an angle of these thrusters? Well, by crouching, you'll often be able to get an angle on the thrusters with this way, even if it's looking right at you. You can also get a chance to get side shots in if you move around in a large circular pattern. Just remember, the Hornet will often be alongside Wasps, so prioritize the Wasps first whilst dodging the Hornet's dart attacks. The Hornet will drop Arc Alloy, Arc Power Cells, medium ammo, and a Hornet Driver, another quest item. Next is the Snitch. This one will scan a large area, and if it spots you, it will call in a wave of Wasps and Hornets. It's usually just a few. It won't actually hurt you, and it can easily be taken down by shooting the 3 wiper blades on its outside. If you shoot it quick enough, you can destroy it before it calls in more enemies, even if it spots you first. The Snitch isn't really much of a threat, and sometimes I'll let it spot me just so it can spawn in the Wasps and Hornets if I need quest items early on or I want to get a bit more loot or XP. Looting the Snitch will get you Arc Alloy, an Arc Power Cell, and Snitch Scanner as well. A very cool item that once thrown will spawn in enemy Arc on the location you throw it. Probably one of the most useful grenades in the game. Alright, now we're moving on to the big guns. First up, the Leaper. Look, this thing is absolutely terrifying. Get its attention and it will literally jump across the map and chase you to the ends of the earth. It releases shockwaves dealing damage and also just loves stomping on Arc Raiders' heads for fun. It is scary, but you can take it down with a very straightforward strategy. 1. Bring lots of ammo. 2. Find a small building that Leaper cannot fit through. Next, shoot the Leaper to get its attention. Once it leaps onto your building, start to shoot its legs to reveal its weak points. The leg armor will more easily destroy with weapons and gadgets that have a high arc armor penetration. Try to focus on the same leg, although that can be a little bit difficult as it's scuttling around trying to find an angle to hit you. Eventually the armor plating will break though and you'll expose its weak inner metal. Shoot that and the legs will break. And now you've got a goofy looking spider that's missing a few too many legs. You can just rinse and repeat the process on a few legs before it will eventually be destroyed, and you won't have to be scared of the leaper anymore. Well, as long as you can find a suitable building. You will need a lot of ammo and time. So actually the main threat once you're set up is other players. And if you do ever get caught out in the open with one of these things, your best bet is to get inside as quick as possible, because otherwise you will die. The leaper will break into 2 pieces once destroyed, and here's a look at the loot you can get from it. Most of the parts are useful for making mid-tier weapons and can be broken down into other crafting items. Alright, now it's time for the bastion. The bastion moves slow, but if it's aggroed on you, it will fire a very high RPM machine gun that will shred through you in seconds. And if it doesn't, everybody in the map will know that it's firing at a player. Even if you go behind cover, it will just keep firing. Eventually though, there will be a small moment where it reloads, and that's where you can focus on its weak points. The yellow kneecaps or the yellow cylinder on the back of the bastion are its weak points. Shoot that and you'll deal damage directly to the bastion, bypassing its armor. Eventually, enough shots would temporarily disable the bastion, and then you can shoot at its core. Enough shots on the leg kneecaps will also expose the bastion's inner metal, which, once exposed, can be shot to quickly deal a lot of damage to it. You'll need a good piece of cover to take on the bastion, and whilst it's easy to avoid the bastion's minigun, the main issue is it's usually accompanied by wasps and hornets, so take those out as soon as possible before starting the bastion fight. The bastion will also break down into 2 pieces, and the loot in each piece will give you more higher value crafting items. Next is the bombardier. This has the same weak points as the bastion, so it's the same strategy for where you want to shoot it. It will also be accompanied by a spotter that will basically work as a laser beacon for the bombardier. The bombardier will fire large missiles into the sky that then land down on arc raiders on the ground in a sort of heat-seeking fashion. Because the missile has to go up into the sky first, the best strategy is to find a nearby building with a roof and try to take an angle from there and focus on the weak points. Once again, the main threat will be nearby players if you've got set up in a good building, so be careful when taking it out. Also, when I fought the bombardier, there was a nearby rocketeer. Not sure if that's common, but the combo can be absolutely devastating to deal with at the same time. You'll get all this loot from the bombardier, and a lot of it. I don't know for sure, but the bombardier cell seems like it could be an item to craft the hole cracker grenade launcher. You'll also get rocket ammo from the bombardier, which is used for the hole cracker. Subscribe if you want to see a video about that. Right, now it's time for the rocketeer. This arc was the one to cause the most casualties in the recent server slam test, and it's definitely one of the hardest to deal with. Even if you come fully equipped, sometimes it can still ruin your day. It fires barrages of missiles that deal huge AoE damage. For most situations, it's better to actively avoid the rocketeer unless you absolutely need to take it down for its loot. If you do want to take it down, here are some tips. You'll need to try and find a very decent building that doesn't have any big open windows or anything, and aggro the rocketeer to the building. Just be aware that missiles can go through doors and windows and still damage you. Your goal now is to deal damage to the rocketeer by focusing on its very heavily plated thrusters. It will usually fire a barrage of 2 missiles, and there will be audio cues once the missile lock happens. But unlike other arc attacks, you can't dodge this out in the open. You can use the audio cues to time your attacks. So after the missiles are fired, you'll have a small window to shoot at the rocketeer before you have to bait it into starting the firing sequence again. And as soon as you hear the first audio for the next missile barrage, get back in cover and wait for the rockets to fire. A lot of arc you can deal with by just hiding behind a rock or even a tree. That's not going to work with the rocketeer. You need the best piece of cover possible, a good building or something like that with a roof. Repeat this process over and over by firing on the thrusters in between its firing patterns, and eventually the armor will be destroyed and you can start dealing damage directly to the arc. It will take a lot of ammo and time, so be very prepared for nearby raiders to be attracted to all the noise. Destroying the rocketeer will give you a lot of loot, including rocketeer drivers, which are useful for a quest, and for building an explosives bench. You'll also get heavy gun parts, useful for upgrading weapons. Next, let's go indoors to explore the world of teeny tiny arc that can still ruin your day. First, the tick. These guys are the least dangerous in arc, and all they want to do is give you a little cuddle. and rip your face off. Their attack patterns are always the same. They'll hide inside in dimly lit areas, sometimes on the wall or ceiling. If they detect you, they'll make a cute little noise. That's their way of telling you you're in the hug zone. So you now have a few seconds to react. Shoot it as it scuttles towards you, or it will jump on your face. There's no weak spots for the tick, but it only takes one shot with any weapon to destroy or even your axe. If you do get face hugged, you'll have to rapidly tap the prompted button on screen to throw it off you. And after it's thrown off, you'll still need to shoot it. You want to take down ticks to get tick pods, which is useful for an early game quest and for building the equipment bench. Next we have the pop. Luckily, this one is pretty easy to take down. In fact, it does the hard work for you. Yeah, this thing loves to self-detonate, but it will also roll towards you at high speed in an attempt to detonate right at your feet. So just take a quick shot at it as it rolls up on you, and that's normally enough to take it out. These go down really easy with one shot, and you can run away from them if you have the stamina. Looting pops can give you some recyclable items for basic crafting, arc power cells, which can be used to repair a small portion of shields. We also have the fireball. If these balls get close, they'll unleash a flamethrower, doing a lot of damage over time. The actual flame attack does damage, and if you accidentally step in the flames on the ground, you'll also take damage. Best bet is just to be incredibly ready and reactive indoors to shoot the fireball before it has a chance to start its attack. We also have the turret, which is attached to walls and ceilings, usually indoors. And if it sees you, it will fire a heavy machine gun, dealing a lot of damage. You have to wait for the reload to kick in and use that as a chance to shoot it. You can often also peek in and out of cover to shoot these fairly easily. They drop arc alloy, light ammo, and simple gun parts. Next we have the Sentinel. It's the same as the turret, but this one has a sniper and can often be found overlooking large open areas. Usually you can peek out to bait the shot. Once the laser is red, it will fire, so go behind cover and then re-peek it to shoot it, and eventually it will be destroyed. The Sentinel drops all of these items. Next is the Surveyor. This sort of just rolls around all on its own and doesn't really do much of anything. To take it down, wait for it to stop and open its scanning radar. You can then shoot it to deal huge damage to its exposed areas. Once it packs up the scanning radar, it will roll away really quickly and can be quite hard to catch. These are the items the Surveyor can drop. And finally, we have the Queen and the Harvester. You can take down the Queen, but it will require a lot of ammo, experience, and a big team. And I think we'll need a whole separate video on how to take it down once I've had the time to build up a good inventory to take it out. You can also avoid the Queen and loot the Harvester that the Queen is guarding. You can play a minigame to open up the Harvester loot vaults inside, and you can do that with very little resources. The video on screen now explains how you can do it. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more Arc Raiders content. Cheerio!